Welcome, everyone, to the ScreamCast, the podcast that specializes in Scream Factory Blu-ray releases. I'm your host, Sean DeRager, and with me, as always, my cohort, my sidekick, my short shorts wearing brother from another mother. It's Brett Henderson.
I don't wear shorts, but thank you.
That's
thank
not what
you,
you
Sean.
said. Oh,
you didn't. You just said Blu-ray. You didn't say DVD. We're never reviewing DVDs on there.
I had someone ask me if we were going to be covering their Korean DVD, what was it? House on the something rather?
House in the Alley.
House in the Alley. And I said no because it's not a Blu-ray.
Oh,
So I'm not going to buy it.
You jerk.
Because I'm a friggin' snob.
But how are we going to, we have the, Up All Night horror movie packs, and those are, dude, there's an outing in that. We have to have at least one episode dedicated to the outing, aka the lamp.
Mostly Blu-ray, okay? How's that, everybody? Is everyone happy now? Mostly Blu-ray? Unfortunately, Brian Sauer can't be with us today, so I'm sure that he'll be kicking himself as soon as he hears this episode. We're going to be talking Sleepaway Camp this week, and we have a very special guest. Going to keep all of you on your toes before we introduce him, them. Damn it. Brad has some Blu-ray release announcements. We need to title this segment eventually.
You need to tighten up because you're all over the place right now.
I know, man. Jeez.
Are you drinking?
No, I'm not. But
this is actually one of the podcasts we're recording later in the night. So the ones in the morning we record, you're at 6 a.m. I know you're not, you're drinking coffee.
I'm drinking coffee and I'm mad at the world.
You might be drinking Irish coffee, but at least you're sober. Right now, you're sloshing, dude. You're drunk.
I'm off from a crazy day at work, and,
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're gonna have a segment. We're gonna do the segment.
Just like we did last week.
Just like we did last week, talking about upcoming Blu-ray releases. Brad, take it away.
I will be mentioning Blu-ray releases. If I miss any or don't mention them, whatever, it's because I don't know about them or I just really didn't give a shit. Arrow announced today that they're going to be releasing The Visitor and Necromantics, unknown date, which is very exciting. They also announced that they're putting a golden ticket in their steelbooks. The golden ticket, if you get the golden ticket, there's only one. You receive everything in their catalog, even the 2014 releases, which is pretty amazing. So those are going out pretty quickly. The steelbooks are Day of the Dead, Killer Clowns, Shivers, and Maniac Cop, and City of the Living Dead. Is what I can tell. Well, maybe not in Killer Clowns or Shivers, because those aren't out yet. But I think it's just the recent steelbooks that are on Zavi. Yeah, I guess that's how you pronounce that website. So if you get the golden ticket, you basically win a shitload of stuff. That's really cool that they're doing that. Also recently that was released was Cheap Thrills, Dan Curtis' Dracula, Death Spa, and over in Italy, Maximum Overdrive and Cat's Eye. Those two are on Blu-ray over there,
Sweet.
Which haven't heard anything about the transfer, but can't go wrong. Also, Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, was announced for a Canadian release, I believe. The Blu-ray over here in the U.S. is like $90 right now. So
is it?
It's
God
pretty
damn it!
expensive.
I had the opportunity to buy it for $5 at Best Buy once.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Fuck. Really?
So when that comes out, it's
Jesus
up there.
Christ. I suck.
Yeah, you do. All right, so the other ones in the UK on June 2nd, Reanimator comes out, which it's already out in the US, so no big deal. June 3rd is Deathbed. June 12th is Tarantula. That's coming over in Germany. June 15th is Possession, which is only like a 2000 limited release, so you might want to get on that because that's kind of special. That's also known as When the Screaming Stops, I believe. That's the alternate title. June 17th, Joyride 3. Patrick, the remake of Patrick, which is actually pretty decent. I enjoyed. Plus Sharni Benson in it, so you can't go wrong. And Almost Human by Joe Begos, which is, like I mentioned last episode, this movie is in vein of old monster sci-fi flicks like John Carpenter, all that shit. So it's pretty exciting. We're getting the Bloody Birthday in the U.S., but it looks like the UK will get it first on June 23rd. Bloody Birthday will be released on Blu-ray. On June 24th, Screamers, not the Peter Weller one, is going to be released by Scorpion, releasing along with a sequel to Wolf Creek 2, which is quite fun, I might July 1st is Cannibal Holocaust. I believe a special edition is coming out not a well. Could probably be found at Diabolic DVD. Also, a found footage fun. I don't want to give away the secret. I think the secret already might be out. Is a movie called Afflicted. Found footage horror film. Quite fun though. Not your standard horror film found footage bullshit. I like found footage, so sorry. I'm not calling bullshit. July 7th in the UK, Hands of the Ripper and Absentia are coming out on Blu-ray. Hands of the Ripper is already out in the US. Absentia is on DVD here, not Blu-ray, so I will be picking that up. July 8th is going to break the fucking bank.
Oh, God.
Are you ready?
No.
Curtains by Synapse is being released. Stage Fright by Magnet. Not the Aquarius film is going to be released by Magnet over here. Toxic Avenger, Baby, Bloody Moon, Bloody Birthday, all by Severin, and Bloodsucking Freaks, and I already mentioned Toxic Avenger, are being released by Troma. So that's going to be kind of a big, big Blu-ray day.
Well, plus with all the, the Summer of Fear with Scream Factory.
Yeah, these are also don't have Scream Factory titles in here because obviously we'll be covering those as they come out.
Yeah.
Those goes without saying. Stage Fright Aquarius comes out in the UK on July 14th. So 2 Stage Fright movies, just a few days apart, 2 different movies. July 15th is Criterion Scanners, along with Essex Tape, which I guess is a found footage horror film. I don't know too much information about that one. July 21st, a nice little horror film called The Last Horror Film comes out in the UK.
Are we sure it's the last one?
Might be. I don't know. Probably not. July 22nd, that's really funny, Sean. July 22nd is Lucky McKee's All Cheerleaders Die, which I've been hearing great things about. I have it in the mail soon, so I'll let you know. And July 25th, drum roll. Key, do you have the drum roll sound?
I didn't bring up the sound effects. I suck.
You
sorry.
Motherfucker. Lawnmower Man over in Germany comes out. Boom.
Sweet.
So that's it.
Holy moly. Holy
we'll
moly.
mention them again, but that's just from June to July. So
man, this
year alone has been ridiculous.
It seems
for
like
Blu-ray.
It seems like the horror titles have ramped up, like the obscure ones, and I don't know who to credit for that first. I don't know if it's Criterion releasing, a few odds and ends here and there, and then with Scream Factory, kind of hitting it hard with all of their releases. But I feel like it's been ramping up,
I think Scream Factory has a lot to do with it over in the U.S., but I mean, Arrow's been doing this for 5 years straight. Shout Factory has always specialized in obscure things for the past, 20 years?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you don't know who did it first. I'm just thankful all these companies are actually taking the time and money and releasing these things, even if they don't sell fucking 500 copies, which some of these things, I think everything that I've named will probably sell 500 copies or more, of course. But there's a few others that are in there that Scorpion Releasing does, or Kino Lorber. I didn't mention any of the Kino Lorber films because we'll be here all night. But I'm just glad that those people are releasing these films. I might not like them, but I'm still glad it exists on Blu-ray. Film preservation, people. Film preservation.
Exactly. I did want to touch on a couple of these. I just watched Death Spa the other night, and it's released by Gorgon Video, who I believe, what's the company that's helping them out? MSI?
No, MPI.
MPI.
I think MPI is doing the PR stuff, but it's Gorgon Video's coming back slowly. They released Faces of Death a couple years ago, which didn't do too well on Blu-ray that I've heard. But they're coming back. They came out with Death Spa, so I'm hoping they keep this up because that release is just fantastic.
Oh man, I wanted to give a shout out to the Death Spa Blu-ray because I was actually surprised. I was expecting just kind of a bare bones, type of Blu-ray, but they did it right, man. I don't really get excited about menu screens, but their menu screen is so badass.
Yeah, it looks great, and the music's really good too.
It totally gets you in the mood of the film. The film, holy moly! If you haven't seen Death Spa, you're missing out, because this is
fantastic.
It's exploitation for the first half, and it's just crazy 80s. It's a haunted spa health club, and it's great. Yeah. So, but they have a pretty great documentary on it, and then I haven't dug into the commentary, but but I wanted to kind of, if you're a fan of these types of flicks, definitely this is a kind of a great way to, put your money where your mouth is and help Gorgon Video kind of relaunch.
Yeah, and it's really worth. It's a little more expensive, but man, it's totally worth it because you are getting the bang for your buck. The transfer is great, the music's great. They did the uncut version, which kind of disappeared for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, it's just really when I think of the '80s, one of the films that always comes to mind is Deathball. It's like when you think of gory '80s films, yeah. This is it's not overly disgusting gory. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I know that's just a generic, silly word to use, but Deathball is just. I could watch it anytime.
It's great.
It's just fun.
And with Death Spa and then combined with Sleepaway Camp, I had it was 2 days of just 80s, in my eyeballs with men in short shorts, and it's ridiculous. We'll talk about it later.
Love short shorts.
But it's kind of a weird combination too, because Death Spa, it's all about the female nudity, gratuitous, and then Sleepaway Camp, all you see is dudes' asses. And,
nothing wrong with
and then
that.
Another surprise near the end. If you haven't seen it, and we're not going to, I don't know if we're going to spoil Sleepaway Camp or not.
We're going to spoil the fuck out of it. We have to.
Okay. Well,
we have to.
When we come back, when we talk about Sleepaway Camp, so spoiler warning. So if you have never seen Sleepaway Camp, watch it and then come back and listen to it. But, we're going to go ahead and take a musical break here. And then we will be coming back, and we'll have a special guest. And should I spoil the special guest? We can do that, can't we?
Go ahead.
People have read the freaking description, so they know already. See, I don't think these things through. Felissa Rose we'll be talking to her just after this. So, but first, Lee Baines III and the Glorifiers, they just released their album on Sub Pop called Deconstructed, and it's out right now. So this is their song, The Company Man. You're listening to the ScreamCast. That was Sub Pop recording artist Lee Baines III and the Glorifiers with the song The Company Man. It's off their brand new album that just came out last week called it's not Deconstructed. I said the wrong thing. It's De-Reconstructed. These crazy bands messing me up.
Sean.
I screwed up.
Fucked up.
Well, like we said before the break, we are going to be talking Scream Factor's release of Sleepaway Camp.
Dear Mom and Dad, I've been at a sleepaway camp for almost 3 weeks. And I'm getting very scared.
Welcome to Sleepaway Camp. Someone is watching you.
And we have a very special guest with us today, Felissa Miller.
Hey, how are you guys? Wow, I'd never been introduced as Felissa Miller.
Oh, shoot,
I like that.
Yeah, that's the Skype. I suck. See?
That's totally cool. That's
Felissa
awesome.
Rose, as you all know her.
I have a million aliases, so you can call me John, and I would go with it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about this movie that happened. You were 13 years old when you filmed this movie, and from what I understand, it's just been kind of a crazy ride for you as far as seeing how popular this movie has gotten.
Sleepaway Camp has completely amazed me. It's been like this 32-year crazy train ride that's just given me the most incredible twists and turns. And, I said it on the Blu-ray, in my interview. It sounds wacky, but this movie has given me a life, a career, a marriage. You name it, and it's part of the fabric of everything I do.
That's so cool. I got a little bit choked up on your interview when you were talking about that.
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh. I just got emotional.
Yeah, it's such a great little interview. Was it Justin B? I hope I pronounced his last name right. Justin Beam that actually directed that, right? And he did such a great job.
Yeah, Justin Beam. He produced it, he directed it, and Jeff Hayes, who completely resurrected the entire Sleepaway Camp, franchise back in like 2000 when the internet started showing like the real, websites that were going on for Sleepaway Camp and people who were so interested in the series. He, came forth and is like the face of Sleepaway Camp, and he directed the whole East Coast side and got Robert Hiltzik and Desiree Gould, Frank Saladino and Paul D'Angelo. And my mom, he did all of those interviews. Justin Beam did the West Coast with myself and Jonathan and Ed French. And we had a ball. I have to say, like, just reliving the entire experience is, like I said on the Blu-ray again, it's been so magical for me because it's like every step of my life has somehow involved Sleepaway Camp. And, I don't know. That movie is something else. It really is.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because there's like this is like the second resurgence of it too. Because
Right.
a few years ago when we had the Anchor Bay, survival kit that came out, it did, put it in people's eyes again. And then, now this from Scream Factory, and it's just, I love to see it pop up every once in a while and totally get all the love all over again.
Thank you so much. And it happened with Return to Sleepaway Camp. So it's like we did the box set, then we did Return to Sleepaway Camp. You know what I mean? And now we're doing the Blu-ray, and I never wanted to end. No, it makes me so happy. And it's just a little engine that could.
It's really cool. My history with Sleepaway Camp, Felissa, I actually just watched this for the first time last night.
You did?
I'm 36 years old, and it took me all these years to watch this thing. I have no idea why. It's just one of those movies that slipped between the cracks. Every time I meant to watch it, it just never worked out. And Brad and I always talk about, I used to go to the video store with my parents, and we would browse the VHSs, and I would always end up in the horror section that I wasn't allowed to go into. And I always saw the poster for Sleepaway Camp, the box. I remember distinctly Sleepaway Camp 2 because was that the one, Sleepaway Camp 2, Brad, was one with the poster had.
Yeah, it had the,
Freddy's
glove and Jason's mask.
Yeah. So I saw that, and so it's always been like in the back of my brain, like imprinted on me all these years. I never saw it. And, so it was nice to finally sit down and watch this thing. And I was actually surprised, like, how good it was. I mean, it's an 80s movie. There's some cheeseball factor there, but it was like,
it's a batshit crazy slasher movie.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
But it's not,
every
it's so much fun.
Is bizarre. Every single character was drawn out to be like, just completely out of their mind. From the cook to the aunt to the, the cousin, the campers, like they're all insane.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wait, I have to ask you though, Sean, did you know about the ending? Obviously.
I did because, I've watched documentaries, slasher documentaries and tons of stuff, and I've obviously, and that's probably what kept me from revisiting or actually watching, because I was like, well, it's a slasher and I know how it ends. But I'm so glad that I gave it a chance because it really did, it kind of, blew away my expectations just because it was so weird. And it wasn't it was not your standard slasher was really what set it apart. And it's crazy because it was born out of the whole slasher craze, but it's so different than all the 80s slashers that I've seen, and the fact of it being at camp, like, I've been to summer camps, and those kids felt like kids that I knew back in the 80s and 90s when I was going to summer camp, so.
Yeah, even if you know the ending, it doesn't ruin it for you.
No.
I've never been to Sleepaway Camp, but everyone who has, like my husband and Robert, the director, and Jonathan Tiersten, they're all like, it's so close to, the way camp really is. Like even as far as the softball game and the girls and just, everything is very, very specific to how it really, it really lives out the whole camp experience. And that's how it was when we filmed it. It was like we were living camp, we were really there experiencing that whole kind of being away and with other teens, crushes.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the little documentary. It was very cute. It was super funny too.
So we have the strangest relationship, me and Jonathan, but it all adds to the kooky, crazy, fare of Sleepaway Camp.
It's great. And, that time in all of our lives, between like 13 and 17, like, I feel like most of my memories are around that time of my life, So for this thing to happen when you were that age is pretty incredible, But it makes sense that this has lasted a lifetime, It has lasted so long in your, how it formed you as a person.
Oh my gosh.
And your career.
It would be interesting. I mean, my husband Darren, he asked me, he was like, what do you think your life would have been had you not gone to that one audition? And it's like, that's such a strange question because seriously, like the domino effect of my life was completely hinged upon, the basis of my getting that role and then kind of like going to college to really study and want to be an actress because I love that experience so much. And then, getting back into film. And then my husband was like the #1 fan. And I mean, my best friends, like today alone, I spoke to Jonathan Tiersten on the phone, Tom Vandell, who played Mike, John Dunn, who plays Kenny. Like those are my close friends.
And that's awesome. Like that, that carries over for that long. And, and it's fun because you guys,
family.
Yeah. And you guys get to relive this all the time because, I mean, obviously there's conventions that you guys will probably do. And, I don't know. It's just, it's fun because it's like it's a family that carried over and, you still, like you guys know how special this is. And it is a special movie because not only is it, it's extremely iconic. I don't know of any other slasher that had a shock value of that caliber at any time, even to this day.
Wow.
And,
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember my mom handed me the VHS when I was like 7 years old, and she was like, I remember I saw The Burning, and she was like, if you like, summer camp movies and Friday the 13th, you're gonna love this. So I watched it with her, and I was like, I just remember just being shocked. I was like, do I close my eyes? I don't know what to do.
You remember that feeling? You remember?
Oh yeah. It was horrifying because that face is absolutely like, it's not that it's shocking. It's absolutely terrifying. The face, like the cast, because that was a cast of your face they made. And it just, that look in those eyes is just absolutely terrifying. And the noise that's being made. Oh, man.
Yeah, that weird growl. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting for me to hear Robert during his interview because I didn't know that he thought of, okay, I want to make a horror movie because horror movies are big. Obviously it was the 80s. And now if I could just think of, a camp and an ending, I'll have something that could possibly stick. And he was right.
Oh yeah, totally. But also making, like you said before, the characters are just super bizarre. Like everything that's happening, like it almost feels like a fantasy sometimes, especially, the mother character. Just how she presents herself is very, was it Aunt Martha, right?
Aunt Martha, yeah.
She is just terrifying and she's not doing anything that's scary. It's just
I know.
It's like
so do you think it's her clothes and her
It's her perfect red nails. It's her perfect red nails that freak me out.
I know.
Because it's like everything's perfect. Like obviously if you go into any other part of the house, the furniture is wrapped in like hard plastic. Everything completely has its place. That's how it feels, and it feels uncomfortable. But it works. It totally works.
It's almost like she's channeling like a Stepford wife or something like that, but like a somewhat mentally off Stepford wife,
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, even the way she, speaks her words, it was like so creepy. She was perfect. She really was. How did
that affect you when you were, do you remember when you were acting with her? Like, did you kind of feel that she was a bit off or?
No, because like just in, offset, she's, real bubbly and sweet but didn't speak that way and, didn't look that way. So she was just very, very loving and kind and like, hey guys, and fun. And as you saw in the interview on the Blu-ray, she's, exactly, first of all, she looks exactly the same. Hello. But she's so warm and giving that there was, and I think and Jonathan pointed this out, I think it was a blur that first day. We were all nervous and, we're kids, like, ooh, we want to do really well. We want to please Robert. So it was kind of like that first day, the jitters, were pretty intense. So we were thinking more about, making sure we met our marks and did what we had to do to get through that first day.
If I remember correctly, that's actually the first scene, right, that you filmed?
That was our first day filming, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can imagine, you probably didn't even realize what was going on half the time because, it's perfect because you were probably nervous and you looked nervous in the beginning.
Yeah, like I'm going off to camp. Yeah. No, definitely because I know, and I didn't realize that Jonathan was so nervous. We didn't know each other. We were just, two kids who were cast in this movie. And, I just remember standing up at the top of those stairs and hearing action. And it was like a dream because I'd never done anything on film before. And I really wanted the role so badly for so many reasons. Like I wanted to act and I wanted to be a part of it and be in a movie. You're a kid. You want to be in a movie. So, you're just happy, nervous on many levels. And again, I loved Robert immediately. So I really wanted to please him, make him happy and feel like I deserved the role. That I remember always thinking that in every scene. I hope that I lived up to his expectations.
Well, I imagine you did for sure.
I hope so, And
a question I have for you is that, you did this film, of course, and you were excited to do it and all that. When you first stepped in to the role or actually before you did you know what you were doing? Like, were you into film and into horror films? Like, did you guys know that you're doing something iconic? Like, slasher films were coming out like almost every weekend. Like, did that ever cross your mind? Like, holy shit, after we're done, I'm going to be everywhere?
No, it's funny because I very clearly remember thinking, wow, and this is so crazy because remember when you're making a movie, you're doing it completely out of sequence and, you don't really know you're doing a few lines, maybe a couple of pages a day when it's low budget. I remember thinking, oh, I hope my character stays in the film. I don't know why I thought that because I read the script. I knew I was the only person who was there from the very first day to the very last day of shooting. I knew that I was the killer. I knew all of these things, but in my head, I was just really hoping that I had done a good enough job where he wanted to keep me in the movie.
Yeah.
And no, I hadn't seen many horror movies up to that point, and I really, I knew that it was a slasher. I hadn't seen many of the kill scenes. I knew what I did at the end, so I knew about the decapitated head.
Did you know you were playing, or did you know you were playing a boy?
Oh yeah. I had read the script and I knew all about the mask being put on the guy. But you wonder how much at 13 do you really comprehend?
Yeah.
I may have known it intellectually, okay, I'm playing a boy, but I don't know how much I soaked in emotionally, wow, this is going to be strange shit they're doing here. These people are batshit crazy. What are they? Robert Hiltzik, he's got a screw loose doing this nutty thing. I never really thought that, and he was the nicest and still is because he's one of my very dear friends. Robert is one of the nicest, smartest, sweetest people, who cared for me like I was, it's hard. I can't say daughter. He's only 11 years older than I am. Like a little sister.
Yeah. Now, did your mom, because she, again, in the documentary, she was beside you almost the entire time of filming. Was there any time that she sat down with you before anything and was like, look, this is what you're going to do. This is what's happening. Did she, kind of explain, about playing a boy? How did that conversation go?
No. This is what, all I remember is when I got a call back, Robert and Missy, his now wife, who was his then girlfriend, and she was the executive producer. She and Robert were there, and another producer was there. And I went in for the callback, and then they pulled my mom aside. And I guess they gave her a whole speech about, look, there were maybe 10 girls that were called back. I remember the girl who played Annie on Broadway was there, Allison Smith. She was up for the role too. And, they told my mom, look, this is, what's going on. The character is really a boy. And at that time they said they were going to strap a penis on. And, I think my mom just said yes because she figured, well, if she doesn't get it, I said yes and who cares? But if she does get it, we can talk about that. There's always room for negotiation. So we, when I did get it and I read the script, I remember her telling me in the car ride home, this is going to be an interesting horror movie. Like the girl character is really a boy and they're going to make her a boy at the end. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That's all I could think. Like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. It dawned on me when we were on the set and they had me, in that I was in a red bathing suit and they were putting the blood on me and all of that, like weird kind of strange energy in the air that night. It was like you knew it was real creepy. It was dark. Obviously we were night shooting. So you're off anyway because your clock is turned around. You're sleeping during the day and filming at night. So it was definitely like a weird vibe in the air, like, ooh. And then I've got the head in my lap. That's definitely weird for a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I have a 9-year-old girl and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have your kids seen the movie? Do they, you said you have a 9-year-old daughter?
Yeah, she's turning 9 in a couple of weeks. I have a 7-year-old daughter and I have a 4-year-old boy.
Okay.
They know all about Sleepaway Camp. My son, I think he saw a picture the other day and he's like, oh, Sleepaway Camp. So they know that Sleepaway Camp has completely rocked mommy's world and daddy's as well. But they haven't seen it. And the only reason they haven't seen it is because I'm afraid that the ending would be weird.
Yeah.
For them specifically.
Right.
Well, yeah, being the mom,
I'm their mom. And so they love the Halloween series. They love, Friday the 13th. They've seen so many. My son loves Empire of the Ants and Beetlejuice and, he's 4 and I feel like he's going to become a special effects artist. Mm-hmm. But if
you sound like my mother.
I'm so about that creative spirit. But I feel like if they see it, it could be a little weird. So I'm going to give them a few years.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm all for it because I have a daughter too, and I let her watch.
How old is she?
She's 9.
Oh, okay.
She's 9. So she's diving into, her mother really won't let me, fully make her aware of everything that's going on. So we're kind of easing our way into it. Like she's watched, The Thing and, stuff like that.
Beetlejuice.
It's just, I agree with you because it's mom and we're going to see mom with something that we probably don't need to see just yet. But yeah, I can totally see that. But no, I think I love when people, talk with their kids and like, cause that's how my mom was. I started watching horror films when I was 4 or 5. My mom sat down with me and said, look, this isn't real. This is fake. It's fun. It's a movie. You're going to like it. You're going to get scared and let's watch it. And that's exactly what I did.
And that's exactly what I do. It's like I say those words verbatim. And they know it's exciting. It's fantasy. It's taking you, into another place and it's makeup and artistry. I mean, they love it. They embrace it. They think it's the coolest shit. I've taken them to conventions. They met Ari Lehman. They're like, that's the first Jason. They've gotten to meet so many of the coolest horror celebrities out there. They don't even realize how lucky they are. I mean, my son just watched E.T. today, and I'm like, Mommy just worked with Dee Wallace. Do you think that's cool? So it's neat that I can kind of share that with them.
That's very cool.
And I agree with you. No parent should ever hide their children from it, because you know what? I think the most secure kids were those that were not lied to and communicated with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my kids, my daughter's 8, my son is 6, and I got a little guy who doesn't watch horror movies, but they both just don't like being scared. And my daughter is a little more open to like Ghostbusters and things like that, but my son just like he doesn't like it at all. And like when in the movie Ghostbusters, when those demon dogs showed up, he jumped off the couch, ran out of the room, and went hiding behind the couch.
Oh my God, and I don't blame him.
Yeah,
when I was that age, that's why I didn't watch them. I was terrified by the monkeys in The Wizard of Oz. Oh my gosh, every time it came on, it terrified me. So I totally get that.
Yeah. But on the other hand, he's a gigantic Godzilla fan. And there's some sort of separation there that Godzilla is not scary, demon dogs are scary. So, but yeah, you kind of each kid is different. So that's great. You know, I think hiding things from your kids, you know, isn't the right way to go. And this has been Parenting, segment by Sean DeRager and Brett Henderson and Felissa Rose.
all different, there's just the three of us combined. We've had completely different upbringings, and you know, I don't know. It's just cool to see like how people turn out and how each parent raises their own kid, and you know, like I don't know. They're all good parents. We all have good parents, obviously, and it's just I don't know. It just makes me happy. Yeah. I'm not gonna get it soft. I'm not getting soft.
We're all gonna cry.
Felissa, I wanted to talk because you did take a break from film for a while, and you it looks like you went through college, and then you did a lot of like plays, and did you do like Broadway or off Broadway type stuff? What was that?
I did a lot of off Broadway. Okay. I did a really cool show that's been running forever in New York City called Tony and Tina's Wedding, where I feel like I really got a lot of chops. It's improv and you interact with the audience, so you're really on your toes, you know, with people throwing stuff at you all night. So I literally as well. And I feel like the stage was a really great place for me to learn how to kind of like create a character and be in the moment. And, I think once you learn on stage, you can really bring that to film, and, you know, the craft's kind of neat in that you just, you know, it's a great exercise to the stage.
Yeah. How many years before you jumped back into kind of filmmaking?
I mean, many years, like I'd say good, like 8 years, you know, I graduated NYU. I was in Tisch School of the Arts. I was friends with people like Adam Sandler and my girlfriend Chandra. She's on Grey's Anatomy, and Jesse Martin, who was on Law and Order. I mean, we had a great group of actors in my years back there in Strasbourg. And, you know, I really wasn't sure. I mean, I didn't know. Like, I was always a little bit insecure, you know, because in the entertainment industry, let's be honest, as an actor, you're judged so much on your physical. You know, sometimes it has little to do with talent. Mm-hmm. I have so many friends who were so talented and never did anything because, God, maybe their tits weren't big enough. I don't know. It's like, it sucks. So, I sort of just went and was really embraced by the horror community. Again, once Sleepaway Camp made it, you know, came out, so to speak, in the 2000s, you know, and that's when it began.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of like the resurgence happened around the time that you kind of came back on the scene, and you started doing, you know, some low budget horror films, which I'd like to talk about a few, because I've always been a fan for a very, very long time. So I've tried to track down most of your films. Some of them are a little harder to find, but you know, there are a few in there that I definitely would like to talk about.
Oh, thank you. Sorry for the dog.
And so with the dog.
That's crazy. Here come the demon dogs.
So you first came back probably like, I know you you started working with, I can't ever pronounce his last name, Dante, what's his last name?
Dante Tomaselli, yes.
Yeah, you started playing, you actually are in a few of his, right? I know you're in like Satan's Playground.
Which I love. That's like my favorite movie.
Yeah, and what else? You were in something
Horror.
else, right?
He did a movie called Horror, yeah.
Yeah, and he, I remember you coming back on the scene with that, and then you also, now I'm gonna draw a blank because I'm nervous. I know you recently, you recently had, because I watched, Camp Dread. So, because you were with Eric Roberts and Daniel Harris, which was a lot of fun. Because that was also, I'll just be honest, I'm not a liar. I wasn't the biggest fan of Camp Dread, but it was very, very fun to see because it was like, in that world, Sleepaway Camp did exist. And, and it was Summer Camp Trilogy they kept talking about. And I was like, why don't you guys just say Sleepaway Camp? That's obviously what you guys are talking about. And,
that's so funny. Someone reviewed it and they actually thought it was another installment.
Oh, that's funny. Because you were in the latest, the Return to Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, I was in Return to Sleepaway Camp, and then with Camp Dread is also on the camp grounds, and he thought that's what we were doing.
That's it was pretty funny. And then I know that a film that got a lot of controversy at the time was The Perfect House. Yeah, you were in that. That was it was a little brutal at times.
I know. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's funny. I brought a bunch of friends with me to its LA premiere. And Jonathan Tiersten is amazing in it and scary as all shit. And they just looked at me like, seriously, that is demented. Yeah. And I guess, when you're filming, you really don't know because there's a whole process that happens after you're done. The whole post has a life of its own with the editing and the music and whatnot. And it was really, very much torture porn. And people were.
It was pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was pretty tortured during my stay.
Yeah. It's a blast though. I mean, if you're really into that, because I know that a lot of people, the whole torture porn people are kind of over and done with. But The Perfect House is more or less like, I'll give a little flash, like little synopsis. It's basically about a house that was like three different stories, three different generations of, families, that go through, I don't want to give anything away, but it's pretty hard hitting. So if you're into that type of thing, I suggest you track it down for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely its own thing. And, that was hard for me because again, going back to the parent thing, being a mom and witnessing what my character goes through, that was intense. It was hard. And my son at the time was like 7 months and he was with me. So that was just brutal.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you always stayed within the horror genre or have you looked to kind of branch out of the horror genre? As far as acting goes.
I have to say it's like a marriage made in heaven. I mean, I love the horror genre and fortunately they've accepted me and I've never branched out. And I've never really been asked to branch out. So it kind of is a win-win because it just didn't. I'd love to do comedy. I'm probably not funny, but I love a good comedy where I'm like, pissing my pants. So I would love to do comedy, but maybe I'll do some horror comedy. We'll see. Cesar Renato.
Yeah, Cesar Renato, Deadly Christmas. I was about to say that was comedy. They also had the Summer Camp Massacre movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's doing another one called Paranormal Halloween.
That's super funny. Those guys are humorous. I did like Summer Camp Massacre more than the Christmas. Is it Deadly Christmas?
Christmas. Yeah. I do too.
Yeah. But
again, the camp setting. Maybe we're a little biased. Yeah.
Man, I need to watch more of Felissa's movies. I'm way behind. Way behind.
It's been crazy the whole run of it. Like I worked with Andreas Schnaas on Nikos the Impaler, and that was crazy. He's a German filmmaker, and I was lucky to work with him. That was a crazy film. Some people have posted like on my Facebook even today. That's a nutty little movie. And then I did movies like Zombiegeddon that has a cast of like everyone from Debbie Rochon, Joe Estevez, you know, Ed Neal, Ed O'Neill. Ed Neal is in it from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and just a crazy, amazing cast. Brink Stevens.
J.R. Bookwalter's in that, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He's from my hometown. I'm a
oh
big
my
fan
gosh.
of his.
He's wonderful. He's a lovely man. Yeah. So, you know, it's been an interesting journey just in all these wild films.
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome that it all stemmed from this one little film. In the special features, they do mention Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. And the director, he didn't really want to give too much away. He basically sold the rights to have them make the sequels, and they cast someone else. And there's a little bit of a story with that. What, cause you were up for the role in the sequel, correct?
Yes, I was probably 16 or 17, and I had the same manager that I had when I did the first movie. And they just said, hey, they're talking about sequels. There's a new, you know, director, and he'd like to meet with you. And it was real simple. And, you know, I said, okay. So we met in Manhattan, and I remember it very clearly. He was really nice, and I was sitting in his apartment or someone's townhouse, and we sat across from one another, and he handed me a few pages of the script. And immediately, you know, when I went to say like the lines, they just didn't come out smoothly. It's like I wasn't connected to. Maybe in my mind, in getting myself psyched up to go meet with him, I thought I was playing the same quiet, disturbed, introverted Angela, and she clearly is not in 2 and 3. So he apparently had a great friendship with Pamela Springsteen, and I think thought more of her in that way, but I guess just wanted to meet with me anyhow. Mm-hmm. But you know, then I had just been admitted into NYU early decision, so I really wanted to go, and I just kind of, you know, worked out. I went to school. They did 2 and 3. I'm still friendly with Michael Simpson. In fact, I Facebooked him and said, hi, how are you? He had mentioned something in a thread on my page, and he said, oh, he's at the Cannes Film Festival. And I said, congrats. He's very successful if you look at his IMDb. And I said, let's go have a drink when you're back. And he's like, terrific. So,
cool.
You know, again, still all the same, you know, family type, you know, feelings with the Sleepaway Camp people.
That's fantastic. And stories like that really, I don't know, they make me happy. I know,
softy. Right?
Yeah, it's great.
You just never hear about it.
I mean, I think that there are stories out there like, oh, there's controversy or stuff between them or fighting. It's so untrue. Like, we've all gotten along and each film stands on its own.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Well, I do want to talk about the Blu-ray and then we'll wrap up. But I don't want to spend too much time on the Blu-ray, you know, like we normally do. But I'll just run it through really quick here. The Blu-ray put out by Scream Factory. The transfer looks pretty great. And when they pressed the Blu-ray, did they send you a copy or did they have a screening or how did they work that with you?
No, Justin Beam sent me a copy, so I got it last week.
Oh, nice.
And I, you know, couldn't wait to watch it. I watched it. I thought it looked amazing. Obviously I was listening to both the commentaries. I watched the doc, you know, several times. It's so embarrassing, you know, watching yourself. I'm like, I am the biggest goofball ever. Like, really? I was like, tone it down, bitch. But, you know, I'm just, you know, look, everybody who's close to me knows I am who I am. What you see is what you get. I make no bones about like, this is me and sorry. I know I'm a bit kind of kooky, but,
join the club.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're in good company.
Trust me.
Very much so.
Thank you.
I work in a stuffy office and everyone is like, you're so animated. And I'm like, well, we sit at our desks all day. What do you expect me to do?
I just have a ball, and look what I'm talking about. Like my favorite little horror movie, you know.
Great. I'm just gonna say, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, it's a definite must buy, in my opinion. The special features are strong. I didn't get a chance to check out the commentaries, cause I would have been up all night last night. But, there's 3 commentaries on this thing. There's a documentary. There's a short film on there.
Judy film by Jeff Hayes.
Just, it's stacked. And, the audio sounds great. So I'm going to give this a full on recommend. How about you, Brad?
Oh, I've been a fan since I was like 6 years old. So anytime there's a reissue, I'll be there. Trust me.
Aw, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I do want to thank Shout and Scream Factory for giving Sleepaway Camp this opportunity. I haven't really said that. I think it's just amazing what they've done with it, and the extras I think kick ass because there's many.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
You get your money's worth for sure.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, Felissa, what's in the works for you? Do you have anything that's in kind of post-production right now, or anything that is going to be coming out soon that you can talk about?
I'm heavily in post on a movie that I produced starring Eric Roberts and Beverly Randolph and Kim Poirier, called No Solicitors, and written and directed by my friend John Callis. As well as a movie I did called Zombie Killers with the same writer-director Harrison Smith of Camp Dread. And it stars Dee Wallace and Misha Barton and Billy Zane. So that's a pretty kick-ass cast. And Dee Wallace's daughter, Gabrielle Stone, is in it. And I have 2 new movies that are coming, they're in pre-production called Reservoir, by Mark Del Negro, as well as a movie called The Undead. And Jonathan Tiersten is in it with me, both of them. And Frank Sorrentino, who plays Little Peter in Sleepaway Camp, he's in Reservoir with us. And he has a new show coming to TV Guide Network called The Sorrentinos because his brother is Mike the Situation from Jersey Shore.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, thank you. So.
Hearing all this is like, it's like, it almost seems like in the past few years, your career really has taken off. You know what I mean? It's just amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, I've been fortunate to meet some like unbelievable people and work with great actors and great directors. And, I'm very thankful.
Awesome. Well,
and you said you're working on No Solicit. You'd mentioned John Callis as in like the guy that did Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
The heavy metal werewolf movie. Or the wolf, I guess, the wild dogs.
Yeah, how did you know about that?
Oh, I did a heavy metal horror project back a couple years ago, and I watched every heavy metal horror film, and that was one that I did enjoy.
Did you like it?
It's goofy, but yes, I did enjoy it. I remembered, so that's something.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
He just called me and I'm supposed to call him back. I can't wait to tell. Yes,
yeah, I watched. It was hard to track down, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where they it's a struggling rock band that basically has this. There's something behind it, and they're wild dogs, wolves. So it's pretty fun. Yeah.
That sounds up my alley.
And No Solicitors is a very quirky, crazy family that you think they are one thing, but they are really another. Dun dun dun.
Oh boy! All right. Yeah. Well, Felissa, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for talking with us this evening. We really appreciate it, and I consider myself like I've always known about you, but I consider myself like in a weird way like a new fan, if that makes any sense.
I so appreciate it. And I always say friends, like, the fan thing I throw out the window, and we're all friends. We're all connected. And thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks for your time and for having me.
Of course. You can follow the show. Follow us on Twitter at Scream_cast. And the dogs seem to enjoy that as well.
And the dogs are back.
But we'll be back next week talking more Scream Factory releases. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.
Today's band is...
Shitballs.
Bullshit.
Or no, was wasn't him. No, it was Jeff. Anyway, somebody that I talked to on Twitter. And if you're listening,
Jeff Fahey.
I'm an
Jeff
asshole.
Fahey.
No, Jeff something rather.
Knudsen.
I suck.
Words of wisdom you said to me were few words.
Yeah, it shows that we added her, but
All right, wait, she just oh, because it's the wrong name.
Fathermucker.
Sunken dream were complimented by a garden scene.
Like I hate sending emails where I'm telling people to do things because it feels like I'm like, you know, I always feel like how they read it. Like when you're not saying hey or hello, you just like type a response. So I always put like yay at the end with exclamation points.
Yay!
Or like a smiley face. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think it does.
And children do shimmies